I think we're on live now, my friends. This is ESC United, right, coming to you from the press center and the online press center with Connor. Let me change the volume here, the setup. We are here to talk about the results from semi-final 1. And what a show. What, my heart. Every year you would think I'm used to it by now, but it never, ever gets old. Connor, without even going into the results right now, how are you feeling?
I mean, I feel really good. I think that there are, I won't get into it, but there are, I think, a few surprises. A couple of people that maybe people didn't think were going to make it through. But the people that I wanted to go through made it through. I lost maybe one person. So I feel really good about this semi. This makes me really nervous about semi 2, though, because if I feel good about this version, I'm going to be like on pins and needles next on Thursday.
I know. And you think by now, we've been doing it for several years now, you kind of know, and but the nerves every single time. It's just, it's so intense. And that's somewhat the beauty, but also the most difficult part about it. And before we even, do you remember how many you got right in your predictions?
Yeah, I got 8 out of 10.
Me too, 8 out of 10. I think most of us, with a few exceptions, probably got at least one wrong. We're going to talk about that. Of course, we're happy for everyone, because if you made it, you got enough votes. That's just about it. And that's the beauty about it. So let's talk for this here and see what happened. And everyone in the chat, of course, we got to talk about this. And let's go for them one by one. Beautiful show. Did you like it overall, Connor? Like the flow and the professionalism?
Oh, yeah. And I took it from a different vantage point, because I know here in the States, Peacock, so NBC, the broadcaster over here, is the one who's also broadcasting. So I was like, maybe I'll switch it up and see how things are going over there. And Johnny Weir is actually the commentator this year for us in the States. Olympic figure skater, but apparently pretty big on Eurovision. So it was a pretty good broadcast. True? Yeah. He kept talking about how much he loves like Conchita Wurst and Netta, and like bringing up all these things. And so I was like, okay, so someone's done a little bit of homework, more so than Carson and Michelle Visage when they hosted.
Yeah, that's true. But let's talk about it. The 10 qualifiers. As soon as the first name dropped, I think a lot of hearts dropped as well, because it was certainly not considered as sure or obvious qualifier. And that was Switzerland. Marius Bear. Boys do cry, and I think we have at least one boy in the green room that was maybe crying a little bit after qualifying, and that was Marius himself. What did you think, Connor?
I mean, I think it's just one of those things where everything came together. It's one of those where I feel like he may have been the song that came just barely in. You know, came in that coveted 9th or 10th slot and just made it through with enough points. But also just had a great performance. I mean, we watched the jury, we watched the live show. He had a great performance. So I'm not upset by his qualification. And I think that he's going to bring something very different to the grand final compared to a couple of other songs and performances that we have here as well.
Okay. And I want honesty from everyone, not you, Connor, right now. I'm talking in the chat. And be honest, people, who had Switzerland in their predictions? Just say yes. Now, I personally, none of on our team had it there. I'm thrilled because I really like that song. I've always did. I just thought it has since running order and the lack of excitement about it just didn't have the steam for it to make it. The fact that it did is just a very, very happy thing for me, because I think it is the kind of song that I said, like, it has do you think it's the juries that really pushed forward?
I want to say so, because this was the song that when I did my ranks was 11th. I was like, I would love for this to go through, but I'm going to play realism here and I'm going to put someone else through. And so I think that it probably wasn't the televoters who pushed him through. I think it was the jury that had him higher, the televote had him lower, and he averaged out to that spot right outside of, or right on the bubble, I guess.
Right on the bubble. But yeah, to be fair, in order to qualify, either he would have had at least a decent result and a decent, I don't know, 14 or 13th, a decent result, but at least not bottom three, with the televoters. So he probably didn't completely flop with the televoters, unless it was really a dramatic situation where he can second with the juries or something to that extent, which I don't believe that was the case. But certainly I was saying that there are probably a good amount of acts right now that got a little bit more nervous in the green room when that one qualified, because a lot of people probably did not see that coming, right?
But I think that that's such a cool way to shake up the game, because, a lot of us come in here and we're like, okay, well, we know how this is going to play out. So we're just kind of waiting for the official tell us the results. And when they open it with Switzerland, and everyone's like,
I'm so happy.
Excuse
me. Oh, me too. We have a heck. Sorry.
I'm hiding everyone.
I wasn't worried, but I was getting nervous.
But I'll keep going. So I think that's just one of the things that was so fun about this semifinal and the result.
My sister from Germany, she called me and she said Ukraine's my favorite
slots
too.
1 and 3 here.
It's not just
and really changed the game of like, oh well, we know what's going to happen, to oh crap, okay, we don't know what's going to happen anymore, and now we're getting a little nervous. And I think that's the green room. You could see their faces. I think the green room felt that. They were like, okay, all right, well.
Okay. And it was very interesting. Well, thank you, NGUVU, for the super chat. I really can't believe it. Why Switzerland? I'm only set for Slovenia. It's because we don't know yet. We're making a now. We could completely caught off guard. All of a sudden, it will televote. We are just making assumptions right now based on our impressions. I checked social media from people who are not Eurovision, like fans who knew the song up front. It was a little bit lukewarm as well, Switzerland. So that's why I was like, oh, probably not going to happen. But clearly something happened. Then what was the second country that was announced?
Armenia.
Armenia. Yes, all of us predicted it, so that was not a shocker, right?
Not really. I mean,
had you any concern going to happen?
I knew it was going to happen. I mean, they were the last one that I wrote down on my list. But yeah, with that performance in her flawless basically run every single time they went through it, with the exception of some tech issues, I was like, there's no way that the juries are not going to like this and that the televote is not going to like this. So I don't know where she's going to come up, like in the overall results of everything, but I just knew that it was not going to be something that was going to be like Croatia, where she's 7th in the juries, but like 12th with the televote and ends up 11th overall. I knew that she was going to be somewhere in the top 10 for both and get through. She was a very safe qualifier.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, if you ask me for my prediction wish, and I would say probably like 6th place would be my guess in like the semifinals. Of course, once again, we don't know. Something midfield, not a borderline qualifier. I think this was a good, solid song, fantastic running order, great visuals, and it's just wonderful to see them back also in the grand final. Because the last time they were was in 2017 was their last appearance in the grand final, if I'm not mistaken, right? 2018 was Kami. Yeah, that was, they haven't qualified since Kami, and that was 2018.
Artsvik.
So yeah, so that did not happen. So it's just wonderful to have them back. Then the third song was announced. Oh, by the way, thank you, Fraude, for the super chat. I got 9 out of 19. You mean 9 out of 10, I would assume. I'm happy. That's good. Happy to hear that. Now, the third one, Iceland. Another slight surprise to a lot of people. But, Connor, I see you all giddy. Talk to me.
I was on the phone with my partner. So, hey, Cody, I know you're watching. Literally screamed, "Suck it, Matt," on the phone because
suck it, Matt.
Well, because you were going through the qualifications early this morning, and you were like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Well, really no one said that Iceland was going to qualify. And I was over in the chat like, Iceland will qualify. I knew that this was going to happen because it was so understated and it was such a big foil to some of the other songs in this semifinal. And I think their running order slot is what sold it for them. I think if they had been in a different running order slot, we may have had a different outcome. But they did it well. And again, great performance, great visual package. Iceland is the other country that I think came in the 9th to 10th bubble, though.
Yeah.
And I think I'll get confirmation of that when we get the full grand final running order of where they placed in their.
Did you get like
half.
a little inkling? Yeah.
I might figure it out if they come really early in the first or second half that they probably didn't do hot.
Do you
I'm
think?
Just so excited.
Go ahead, sorry. No, I'm
excited.
excited too. Yeah, I think it won me over completely live. I just, it really. One thing you can see, a lot of the slower songs actually did really well this year in this semi, which is very interesting to observe. But yeah, so that's what I noticed. Do you think, similar to Switzerland, this was probably more of a jury favorite, or you think that televoters actually have an appreciation for this as well?
This one's a hard one to call. I'm not 100% sure, but part of me wants to say that this might have been a 50-50 split where, they just swapped places where like the jury had it 8th and the televote had it 9th or like something like that. Like they're in an agreement with each other. Just because I don't see this song being a runaway on either side because of the other songs that we have. And then also knowing the Eurovision fandom and what has been super, super popular.
Yeah.
There are other songs I think that would have done really well in the televote, and it's not Iceland. So I don't think they did bad. I just don't think that they would have been like that on the voting side.
Yeah. Again, it was not on. I mean, to be fair, I think 2 out of 5 people on our team did predict it. It was our 11th place in our team ranking overall, so it wasn't even that big of a surprise to us. But it was still overall not considered a sure qualifier. Once again, probably a lot of faces in the green room. Oh boy. Buckle up, it's going to be a bumpy ride. And we all kind of saw that coming. First of all, real quick to the super chats. And now there are a lot of questions in the chat as well. We're going to them as much as possible. Try to talk about the countries first we just talked about. We'll go through them all. Thank you, Lee Fern, for your super chat. I got 8 out of 10. I had Austria and Denmark instead of Portugal and Iceland. Iceland, that was a surprise. I knew Albania wouldn't qualify. Those vocals were dreadful and the styling was questionable. We're going to talk about Albania in just a moment, and we just addressed what's the other? Iceland. And wave that Portugal flag, Connor. Maro did it. Wave it.
Yay! Now I have to order a Portuguese flag for the grand final. So
I know, right? We'll get there. So let's go. We're going to talk about Portugal actually in just a second, because first we got to talk about Lithuania, because I believe that was song number 4 that was announced, and I had that one predicted, and I think you too, right?
Yep, sure did.
Yeah, and that one still was, once again, especially when you looked at the betting odds and the fan poll, the press poll, not a qualifier. Boom, there are in. So at this point, Connor, I know you predicted it, I predicted it, but what was your feeling at that point when those 4 countries were announced?
I mean, I'm just so excited. I think number one, I love that. I think for Lithuania in particular, they have been trying for so long, besides the Roop from last year, to get themselves back onto a more of a qualification streak. We didn't just want the Roop to be a one-time thing, but also a celebration of the Lithuanian language, which I know is so key to Monika and kind of her run. And so I'm really excited to not only see her get rewarded for kind of taking that gamble, but then also for taking a gamble, again, similar to Switzerland and kind of Iceland, of taking a more understated approach to the Eurovision stage, but selling it immaculately. Like, she didn't need the LED, she didn't need gimmicks. I mean, she has the mirror effect, but that is what itself, or is what it is. But she came and knew what her vision was. And I think that's why it connected, and I think that's why she qualified. There are other acts in the semifinal that things just didn't connect across the juries and the televoters. Yeah.
And I do think the juries will like this one as well, because for the couple of years, the juries downgraded Lithuania a little bit more. So I don't think it happened this time around. And you nailed it. It was just, she made that song. I think if you would have had just a meh performer that didn't connect with the song, this could have completely tanked. What I thought was interesting, again, the announcement order was not random. It was predetermined by the producers. It was interesting that they put a lot of they qualified countries in the beginning, making everyone else sweat a whole lot more. Again, I'm thrilled and I'm happy, but it was not, you would think Greece, Norway, Ukraine, they're all going to be announced first, but no, they were holding on to that one a little longer.
Well, and what is also funny about this, I mean, we're only into the 4th song on the running the announcement order, and we're going to get a 5th one here as well. But Matt, I don't know if you noticed this, but they announced all 5 of the slower songs, with the exception of our last one, all together in a row.
Oh, really?
So we have all of the slower songs, with the exception of the Netherlands. They come in right at the very end. But basically, you know how sometimes they usually, again, just like kind of throw them together and you kind of just get like, oh, you know, here's what it is. They, I think, really made people sweat it out because of the fact that it was slow song, slower song, slow song, ballad. Oh, there's your pop song.
Like, we have them. Don't worry, we got something for you there. That's right. No, I didn't notice it. Now that you say it, I brought up the list right now. And I'm like, oh yeah. It was interesting how many slow songs actually went through, which is, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I thought people would be more in a party mood like me, but again, we don't know the breakout, you know, what the juries and televoters did here. And then the 5th one, again, I think a lot of Portuguese fans and Connor are very happy. What are your thoughts, Connor?
Oh, as the resident Portugal stan, I'm so happy. I mean, I've been saying it since was it Wednesday when we saw this? Like, this was a lock qualifier for me. I know that there was a lot of people that were like, oh, well, I think that it'll just get in or things like that. I actually highly disagree. I think that this is something that probably did really well in the televote. I don't know if she necessarily won the juries over because I did listen to the jury performance, and I think there were a couple of notes that she flubbed along the way and was kind of a little off here and there. Mm-hmm. So I think that she maybe came middle of the jury, but top 5 in the televote. And I think that if she can pull it around for the grand final, we may be in for a really, really good Portuguese finish in the grand final on Saturday.
Yeah, Portugal has figured it out, like, because they used to always want, they never make it. Since Salvador Sobral, they only missed now the semi once. And they're maybe more of a powerhouse. I was nervous again, will people connect with it or not? Because previously we had a few Portuguese songs that got the hype, and then it kind of faded as the rehearsals came on, 2018 and 19 came along. So I was worried that we'll fall into the same kind of pattern. However, as rehearsals went on, I noticed that Saudade stayed relevant and people interested, and that was not that it didn't deflate like some of the other ones that Portugal put forward, and that made me more confident. And that's why I put it in my predictions as well, which was really nice.
And I think something that's also really important to point out about this song in particular is that there are also English lyrics in this song. And so I think that is also a slight path that Portugal is maybe venturing down, that we don't need to go full English like the Black Mamba did last year to qualify, but if we give them a little something to latch onto, like the chorus and just the little bits of English, instead of doing, which I mean, Junior Eurovision does this all the time, native language and verse, and then a couple of words in English in the chorus, you sometimes connect the message a little bit better than a fully in-language song. So I think when you pair that strong staging sense with a little bit of a connection piece, I think you put those together, and that bodes really well for qualification chances for Portugal in future years.
Yes. No, I totally agree. And just a quick questions. I know we're talking about countries that we haven't talked about yet. Greece has a question about the Netherlands. We'll address those as well. But if you have anything about the countries we just discussed, put them first at ESC United in the chat so we can address them. So we're not forgetting about you. We just want to try to stay on topic to get to everything. And by the way, everyone in the chat, very important, the press conference will start shortly. It's behind me. Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere, but we will find out which half each country will perform in. So I know a lot of people are really nervous about that as well. So we'll find out more about that.
MARO to close the final.
Yeah, I don't think that's a closer, but that would be an interesting decision, right? So the next country that was announced, so these were the first half, right? And then we moved on to number 6, Norway, Subwoofer, give that wolf a banana. I don't think anyone had any doubt that this one would go through, even though we just said, you know, the juries may downgrade it a little. I don't think they put it at the bottom of their ranking either, though. Certainly not as high. But I would be surprised if this is where it's like not in the top 3 or 4 of the televote, and that was just enough to anyway, regardless, to get them in. Were you ever concerned? What are your thoughts?
No, I was never really concerned about their qualification. I mean, I think, yeah, if you're right, if the jury put them low enough, I still maybe would be a little concerned. But I always knew that this was probably going to come top 3 in the televote, just by nature of people and what we've seen in the past. I mean, Norway is always a very popular individual when it comes to televoting. And so when you give them a song that I think is way more accessible than Fallen Angel was last year, I was like, okay, Norway is probably going to get it. So I wasn't super worried about it. I will be really interested after the grand final when we get all of that split voting to see where the juries actually put them. Because I think that is possibly going to tell us in the grand final with the jury votes. Actually, I'm going to put it this way. I probably will see some of this in the grand final with the jury votes as they come in. I would not be shocked to see that most of their points came from televote. Not a lot of them came from the national juries in the semifinal.
Yeah.
And so they probably did do this and then averaged out up top.
Yes, absolutely. And there was one person that asked the question, it was Gilad Aylan going back to Armenia. When Rosalind didn't succeed taking down the last piece of paper, was that a mistake? So I'm not sure if you know this, Connor, but she started ripping, when she goes through the circle, she started ripping it, but she only ripped one piece of paper off. And then she had to do it again. And that was a mistake. Whatever piece of paper she grabbed, it was an accident. It was supposed to rip off immediately, and I noticed that as well. It's a minor thing that will not happen probably again in the national final. It was just a little like, whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen.
I must have been tweeting when that happened because I missed that completely.
No, that definitely happened. I noticed that as well. Excuse me, can you explain logically? No, we can't. That's already the end. We don't do logic here. According to your understanding, why Switzerland goes through like it is the most shocking result of the night. Connor, I mean, we talked about just a moment. If you want to elaborate on that, it's because we do believe it was a jury push, right?
Yeah, I think that the reason why it's a shocking qualifier, I'm not shocked to see it go through because it was a flawless performance. I think people are shocked to see it go through because there was literally no hyper buzz or conversation around Switzerland. I will tell you this as well. Switzerland did make changes and edits from the second rehearsals that we saw to the jury show yesterday. And then also, I think, a slight change into the show today. So I think that also helped them a little bit. They've been changing and elevating this staging. So that might be a reason why people weren't talking about it either. You're not paying attention. I'm a detail-oriented person. You're paying attention to it. And I'm like, oh, I really like the way that they changed that. So that's why I would say it's a shocker, because the press and the Eurovision bubble hasn't been having conversations as Switzerland's going to go through the grand final. But I never really had a doubt that Switzerland could make it through because I knew how well he would perform the actual entry. Again, it's a matter of who the jury members are and what their musical taste is as to what they vote for and send through. I think that's a little bit of the shocker, is that the juries actually voted, like you said, and pushed perhaps him through to average out his televote result to do the reverse of Croatia from last year.
Keep in mind, everything we're saying right now is based on our observation and our understanding. It could be look at them now, Switzerland owning the televote. Could absolutely be the case, but from what we know, what we've seen, and what we heard, we believe that this is the case. So don't come back as you're wrong, you lied to us. That's not the case. Just our best guess right now. Then the 7th qualifier, complete shocker to all of us. No one saw it coming, Greece. And all serious now. I mean, that was one of the ones, when I say not Greece, get out of the way. We know that we're going to go through. Don't pretend, don't put it last. Like, we're going to be shocked. Like, do another Ukraine from last year kind of thing. Right? That was a down moment. And I talked to my sister. She keeps messaging me, stop it. No, I'm kidding. She said Greece and Ukraine were my favorites. She said those two stood out completely. So it didn't come as a surprise. And that's the kind of song, to me, as much as I liked the song from the beginning, when I saw the staging, I knew there's magic there. And Greece just absolutely flawlessly nailed this one. And she had another wonderful performance. And anything else to add here, Connor?
I mean, the only thing I'll add is that I would not be shocked to see Greece as the jury winner for the semifinal. Again, I think that she's going to get into a little bit of danger zone when we get into the actual grand final, because as we've seen multiple times, just because you win the semifinal in a jury or televote doesn't always mean that you win the televote or jury vote in the grand final, because there's more people and things like that. But I just would not be shocked to see it, because it's really, I think, down to her or Ukraine on who took that top spot on either side. So if she can hold it, I think that Greece is in a really great spot for the grand final. But I also think that theirs is going to really come down to the running order and where do they end up in the running order for the final, as to where do they end up in the final scoreboard on Saturday. So one of those things, little nitpicky things, but one of those things. I'm excited, though. Again, I think that I had this as my sure qualifier. I knew that this was going to go through. So when she went through, I was like, we're good. I'm happy.
Yeah. And by the way, I'll keep an eye out. Usually they show us the press conference on screen here. I don't know if they're going to do that here in Italy. If somebody sees anything already, let us know, because we want to see which half each country will perform in. So if you see anything in the chat, let us know.
And I'll have it put up on my side too.
Okay, perfect. Is the jury show the first time they ever hear the songs, or can they listen beforehand and go into with an opinion already in mind? The juries are human beings, right? Exactly, Connor. I was trying to come up with the proper way to phrase this. They're supposed to be like, just come in with an open, fresh mind. Clearly, a lot of them have Eurovision knowledge and interest, so I'm sure I cannot give you a percentage how many have heard them before, but we can use the Germany example. One of the jurors was removed from the panel because she already provided her personal top 10 just recently, and clearly that is against the rules, so she was replaced with somebody else. And I'm sure there are plenty of others who have done that. That doesn't mean all of them. We don't know for sure. It's not like they report to us and tell us, I know the songs.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's a difference between, sure, they probably know the entries, like they probably hear them, but like there's a difference between, oh yes, I've heard the Swiss entry for Eurovision, and I've been following all of the rehearsals, I watched the clips, I watched the TikToks, I've watched press media, I watched the ESC United live stream. Like, that's what jury members aren't supposed to be doing. They're not really supposed to be following everything and getting preconceived notions of what they're going to vote for before they get there. They're really supposed to be judging it based off the package that you get on that semifinal, on the jury semifinal. So they may be like, I know that this is probably going to be something I'll vote for, but they're not supposed to be like, that is my 12 points. You can't stop me. Like, that's when you have a bad juror in place.
Yes. All right. The next one on the list, country number 8 that qualified was Ukraine, Kalush Orchestra, Stefania. Once again, very expected, obvious qualifier, rightful qualifier, deserving, very popular. As I pointed out, my sister messaged me and she's like, that is such a cool song. I really just think that's my favorite. And I think a lot of people felt the same way. And any other thoughts on that one, Connor? I think it was a pretty obvious one.
Yeah, I was kind of a little shocked. I kind of thought they might have waited to announce them just 10th, just to kind of hold the suspense in the audience just a little bit. Because again, I think it was so obvious that they were going to qualify. So I think that putting them in that 8th slot, not that it was a bad idea, but it just kind of removed a little bit of that suspense in a way. But again, I also understand, because you don't want to like toy with people's emotions in this situation that they're in. I will let you know that Marius is drawing his slip right now, and he will be performing in the first half of the grand final.
Okay, so Switzerland, once again, just like as in the semis, performing in the first half. Not many spots left there with all the big five, or most of the big fives, and now Switzerland in that half.
Yep.
So it's interesting how it goes. Real quick, then the next one, and I was getting really, really nervous on this one. And that was Moldova, because I tweeted about it It's been a while. A song went this big in the press center. Everyone was on their feet, dancing, clapping along. It was just such a joyful, beautiful moment. Everyone had just a genuinely good time with the song. And the same happened in Eurovision Village. Apparently, the same happened in the arena. Clearly, the same must have happened at home as well, because people just were absolutely into this, and it was just done so well. I knew as the staging and the rehearsal were coming along, this will do well, and I was stoked, but I'm not going to lie. This is where I was like, okay, it has to be Moldova and Netherlands. If one of the other countries will be announced right now, one of them will be screwed, obviously. So I was relieved when they were announced at that point. But that was where I was really getting nervous. Did you didn't have them in there, right?
No, so I didn't have them in there only because I didn't pay attention I didn't pay a lot of attention to the dress rehearsals where people were actually present. And so I wasn't really watching the jury show to notice a difference from second rehearsal to live show. And I think the difference for me is that if I had actually watched the jury show, I probably would have put them in a qualifier spot, because they were missing the energy that they had from the live show in the dress rehearsals. And that's what made the difference for me. If they had still done a performance that was just fine in second rehearsals, I don't know if they would have qualified, because it's just not very Moldova. It's not very Zdub. It doesn't feel like that. It doesn't deliver the energy of that song. They came alive on this stage. And so if I was able, like right after the songs performed, to re-rank, I would have put Moldova in. So hindsight's 2020. But again, this is a song where I don't know where they would have come in the overall rank of things. Just by nature of, like, really, I don't know. Besides Greece and Ukraine, I don't know where anyone else came. Because it's not like a year where we can go like, oh, well, that would have been here and that would have been there. And we literally have no idea what happened probably from 3 to 10 or 3 to 8, maybe. So I wouldn't be shocked to see this in the middle 5 to 8 range. Mainly backed by the televote.
Gotcha. Thank you, Ragnar Haidor, for your super chat, the very kind one. Someone said press start. That is correct, but we're still here. We're watching as well. So we gave you the update. We already said that Switzerland is going to perform from the first half. So, and next up, we'll find about Armenia. Connor is paying very close attention, so don't you worry. And then the last thing, the last country, I should say, that qualified. And I'm going to ask you the same question, Connor, but everyone in the chat, be honest. How many people actually were thinking, I think the Netherlands is out? Just say yes, I think. And if you say no, whatever. I was super sure, an obvious, unexciting, predictable final announcer. Where was your mind at that moment, Connor? Were you thinking, this could actually be the surprise non-qualifier? Or
I thought it was going to be Latvia. I'm not even going to lie. I thought that they were going to save all of that suspense. By the way, Armenia will also be in the first half. So
oh my God,
right now.
First half. That could be an opener. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, I don't think so because of the setup. She's probably going to be 13th right before the second half starts. But no, I was getting really nervous because I was like, surely Latvia has to go through because of just that electric performance, a great vocal performance. And I was like, okay, I don't know. Maybe they're not going to make it through. Maybe it'll be So I was like sitting on this fence of like, I want both of these people to qualify, but I don't know who I want more. And I'm happy for the Netherlands. And I'm really excited. Again, same thing that I just said with Monika and Lithuania. I really hope that this brings the Netherlands back to we're not scared of bringing Dutch to Eurovision kind of realm. Because clearly she has proven that it can work, especially with the right song. But again, this is a song, I think if I had to guess, and this is pure speculation, I think she came right in the middle. Yeah. I think that she's probably in the 5th slot for the semifinal in terms of ranks. Just because it's not as showcasey as some of the other songs we've covered, but it wasn't shocking like the other ones as well. It was really just kind of that middle ground, I feel good about it type of song.
Yeah. Okay. That makes perfect sense. I actually quite agree. Just real quick, Lithuania will be No, not Lithuania. What's next? Iceland. Iceland will pick their half very soon, and Connor will just interrupt me at any point in time to let us know. It's
just
okay.
like normal.
Just like normal, exactly. But in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about the bad news, and that is the non-qualifiers. Going through the list here, alphabetically, I think running order-wise. The opener of the night, Albania, did not make it through. We were a little nervous. I had them as a qualifier, but I had them as a borderline qualifier. I was thinking, am I going to put Albania or Austria? And then neither of them went through anyways in the end. But that was my dilemma, because I had, like 8 or 9 where like, okay, but then the last one I was going back and forth. And ultimately I decided on Albania. It wasn't enough, as you can see. And a lot of people did say that they loved the song, the staging just didn't come together, and that's what it is. And I thought it was a great push opener. I think it sounded good, but it didn't click, I guess. What do you think? What happened there, Connor?
I mean, I think. Oh, hi, Simon. Simon's on my screen right now. From Good Morning Europe. I think there's a lot of things that just did not come together. I think that there's the song package, there's Ronela, and there is the staging. And all 3 of these things were great separately, but then you put all 3 of them together and it was too much. And I'm honestly, I mean, when I watched the jury semifinal, because I had never seen Ronela's performance, I missed the second rehearsal because the stream wasn't working. I wasn't really paying a lot of attention because I was doing 10,000 jobs in the first dress rehearsal. So I watched it for the first time in the jury dress rehearsal, and I think that's what that's what kicked her in the butt. She did not do a really great job vocally. She did fine, but she wasn't as on as some of these other artists. And so I would not be surprised to see the jury have docked her a lot of points, whilst the televote tried to kind of bump her up. And so she kind of aggregated down to maybe that 11th or 12th, maybe 13th spot, because the televote just couldn't overset that jury vote.
Okay, well, 2 things to add on my end real quick. Number 1, I felt terrible for Ronela, because as soon as the 10th finalist was announced, the camera, I'm not sure if you noticed, Connor, went to Albania, and she was like, how awkward. She's like, it's such an awkward moment. I felt horrible. I'm like, that's not needed. Come on. Before that, I get it, but at that point, right?
Yeah, I'm also in the same kind of place. I mean, you know how I feel about cameras on artists after results are announced. I mean, it's purely for TV, reality TV side of things.
Entertainment, yeah.
And entertainment, and I don't like it. But I think especially that one. I mean, I think there's a difference between you made it to the final, now we're announcing points, and sorry, we crushed your dreams, you didn't make it, and you're not advancing, but let's put the camera on you anyway. And I think that those are 2 very separate things. And this one I'm on, and this one I'm like, don't do that again.
I'm just assuming it was by accident. That's my excuse. By the way, thank you, Felipe, for the super chat for quick. Esteem's emotions toward the end made a lackluster performance finish very well. Also, Albania and Latvia canceled each other out, ? Do you think they cancel each other out because of the energy, or they're completely different audiences that we're talking about?
Before I answer that, Iceland is in the second half. Probably because the bowl is second
There's
half.
nothing left anymore. Yeah, so Iceland once again in the second half.
Now, since I was focusing on that one, I think the issue here is, and I said this on the stream, I really feel like, and I know that the producers didn't want to do this because Albania has come second in the grand final for 2 years in a row, so they weren't going to put her second. But I think that Albania was hurt by opening the show. I think that if they had put Latvia, and I don't think it would have changed the qualifiers, but I think if they would have put Latvia first, it would have really kicked off the semifinal, and then put Ronela, maybe 3rd or 4th or somewhere like there. Perhaps she would have been a little less nervous, because it seemed like it wasn't that she's not a good vocalist. She seemed just really nervous and really stressed because she was opening. And there's a lot of expectation on her to deliver one of the most recent Albanian bops that we've seen in Eurovision. And so now I feel like she's feeling real bad, and Albania is probably feeling real bad, and they're going to revert back to Albanian
I'm sorry, what was it?
ballads for a hot while.
I'm sorry?
So while Matt talks, I will cover. Monika is currently in the press conference. They're asking her a couple of questions, but she seems to be very, very happy and excited to have made it. Lots of smiles. Monika is queen of faces, so she's making a lot of goofy faces. So just throwing that one in there.
Sorry, I had someone from that's usually in the chat come by here real quick who's on part of the staff and had to say hi. I'm like, of course. I feel kind of bad I couldn't talk. I know. Thank you, Kiara, for the super chat. Thank you so much for the coverage tonight. It was great. I especially love Deodato's performance. It made me cry. I cry every time I hear that song and the way I performed it. So it gets me every single time. We'll try to talk about that in just a moment as well. So, speaking of, we just talked. Oh no, there was one more thing I wanted to add about Albania before we move on. It is a fun fact. In 2019, I predicted Albania not to qualify. They did. In 21, I predicted them not to qualify. They did. This year, I predicted they will qualify, and they didn't. So next time around, please tell me to not put them as a qualifier. I will do you a favor. I will do you a favor with that.
And you want to wonder why RTS doesn't want us anywhere near Festival Kingas. It's literally just you.
It's just, it is so sad. But anyway, so the next one on the list is Latvia. We just briefly talked about it, Connor. Everyone on the team had it as a qualifier except for me. I still believe my prediction on this one was right. I still think they were in the top 10 of the televoters. I just don't think they were as high as some other folks thought, because I think Moldova and Norway took a little bit more, I don't know if I want to call it novelty, but certainly that certain like energetic atmosphere vote from Latvia. And they probably didn't go as high as some of the others. And then the juries came in and were like, bye-bye. So they put the final nail in the coffin. So I do think this is bye-bye now. And I think that's unfortunately what happened. So that one I did predict right. And so they were out. Anything else you want to add to that, Connor?
No, when you said that, they gave me big Barbie energy from the Toy Story movie. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Anyway.
Bye-bye.
So I'm looking for... I guess
Lithuania still...
Lithuania just drew second half, by the way.
Second half for Lithuania. Okay, Portugal is next.
I feel like for me with Latvia, I think that they pulled the Croatia, where they probably came, 9th or 8th with the televote, maybe a 12th or 13th with the juries, and when they aggregate out, they came right at the 11th. And it's probably a difference of a couple of points. Like, it's probably not that big of a margin, but it was unfortunately just not enough to push them over one of the shock qualifiers of Switzerland or Iceland or something like that. So I wouldn't be shocked to see that, because I agree with you. This is definitely, it leans itself to be way more of a televote friendly song than a jury song. And I have to assume if the jury was going to punish them for anything, it was probably just based off of subject matter. If I had to take a guess, if I had to think logically, because I mean, they did a really great job. They performed the song really well. They brought the energy that they needed. I'm just going to assume it either was way too kitsch or way too much content wise. And there weren't enough juries that were in the middle that were like, I like it, like I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, no, that is a fair thing to say. Slovenia is also not in the finals. I only person I know that thought that Slovenia would go through on our team is Sean, and Sean was wrong. So the four of us did get that right. I did say the only way for me Slovenia to go through, I just never saw any chances with the televote, me personally. I just thought maybe there is this randomness. Every once in a while, the juries go for one song that you out of the left field that you did not expect they would go for, and that could potentially be Slovenia. May have still been the case, but whatever it was, it wasn't enough. And did you think that there was a chance for them, or that was basically what, any other thoughts on this, Connor?
I mean, my only thing was I think the camera angles hurt them a little bit. There were a couple of things. I mean, I think I got the whole repeat camera angles where they go around and they go back around and they go back around. There was a lot of that and looping, and it looked kind of like a mistake rather than it actually looked like it was on purpose. And so I think that maybe that was, and I know that wouldn't, if it was a technical thing, they would have had a rerun. So the juries were like, oh, that was on purpose. But I think that maybe the whole package just didn't come together enough for the juries to really make it as maybe impactful in their minds compared to like the Switzerlands and the Icelands and the possible Norways out there where you were like, aha, yes, that song, I want that one. Slovenia may have just missed out because of the semifinal that they were in.
Yeah.
But also on my screen, MARO is currently drawing, and she is in the first half.
Oh, I was hoping for first. I think she has a song that really belongs the second half, I think, but maybe not, because she has, in terms of like vibe, a little bit more like this, the calm, cool effect, kind of almost like a Switzerland. I'm not comparing the styles, whatever you like, but Switzerland was carried to the end with a running order 4, so you never know. So we'll see where Portugal will end up. A lot of the ballads now in the first half, though, right?
It's going to be a great old first half at this.
The producers are like, oh, fudge.
They're like, oh, we need to go back to a producer.
All the way from 1 to 25. Yeah, that is not necessarily what they wanted. By the way, I also want to just point out earlier, I meant to bring that up. Even though the team United overall got 9 out of 10 right, which is a great result. And the only one we got wrong as a team was Latvia and Iceland and Iceland was our number 11. So I think as a team overall combined, we did pretty darn good. So round of applause for Team United getting at least combined a decent outcome overall. 9 out of 10 and almost got it right as well. Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
I'm going to put in the chat. So basically all the semifinal 2 songs are going to be in the second half. I mean, it's very much like the American Song Contest when they put all of the 5th qualifiers in semi 2 because they had nowhere else to put them.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that very kind donation, Fernanda. Let's get Connor off to the ground onto the Eurovision Next Destination. Yes, I'd love to have him here. We said we should start a fundraiser, so maybe this is the beginning.
Please, Matt, let me go.
You know me. It's not, up to me, you're here. Bulgaria, they did all. I think they did a fantastic staging, but it wasn't enough. Nobody on our team thought they would go through, except Connor, you did put them as a qualifier. And unfortunately, that did not come to fruition. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Well, so I thought this was going to be one of those like sneak attacks. One of those ones. And I knew that if they were going to... Sorry, I'm just watching Iceland shuffle because they're doing the meet and greet and they're literally just doing side steps.
Iceland? I thought they were done already. You mean Norway?
So they're doing the meet and greets. So they're taking pictures with all of the press people.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
They're like shuffle stepping down the marquee so they can take pictures with everyone, and it was really funny to watch. Yeah, I thought this was going to be a sneak attack where it just came in at 10th, in the 10th place. That it was something that someone didn't think was going to be in there. Maybe the juries responded positively, and they were going to average out to that 10th slot and kind of surprise people. I would not be shocked, though, to actually see them probably in the bottom. Portugal's doing it too. To see them in the bottom, maybe 2 or 3 of the semifinal. Again, because I think that the juries would have assigned them points, but the televote probably didn't. And that's unfortunate because they did a really great performance. So Bulgaria came out strong and came out real hard. Yes, they did.
A lot of people liked it on social media as well. I noticed that.
Yeah, I just think it was just unfortunate. Again, the semifinal that they were in, everyone brought their A game, and so not everyone can go through with an A game.
And I created this curse. Like if you qualify 3 times in the fake results, you will not qualify for real. And I think Bulgaria fell victim to that. I deeply, deeply apologize. I feel like I'm semi-responsible for Bulgaria not going through. I also see an Alex in the chat right now. Alex, is it the Alex I just met? Or is it a different one? Let me know. So yeah, that one didn't go for. Out of interest, how did the real qualifiers compare with the fake qualifiers? The fake qualifiers were just all over the place because it's just virtually random. So I don't think there's anything you can draw a comparison with. It's just like blah blah blah. Let's just push this button and that light comes on. So there were 3 of them, 3 different rounds. So I don't even remember all of the ones went through where and why.
Same.
Croatia, again, we didn't expect this one. Go through one of the few countries where everybody said no, and we don't like being right, but on this one we were, and it just was too sweet for its own good. And it's one of the few songs online as well. I checked on social media. Again, I look at the people who haven't watched this performance and don't know. That was just really more like sweet, but meh. There was very, very little. I could see, based on the comments now, potentially our last place. And I don't want to even say that. It would break my heart, but somebody has to come last. So I just think it didn't come across. It didn't do the Love is Forever push that I mentioned before. Connor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think at this, and I've said this on the stream before, I think it's a matter of the more you watch it, the more you get it. And if you aren't a big fan of the song and you don't know the lyrics and you don't know what the song is about, you kind of get lost in the staging. And I think that the elements and the groundwork was there. But I think overall, again, if they had done something like putting the backing vocalist in the same outfit, or sorry, not the backing vocalist, the female backing dancer, or even removing her from the equation altogether, that would have been the difference between Croatia coming where they probably came, which again, I probably would say maybe bottom 4. I don't think that this is a bubble situation of 11th, 12th, or 13th, and possibly being in the bubble or being in the grand final. Because I really think it comes down to the song is sweet, and the song is, and Mia delivers the song in a great way. But again, so many people are bringing their A game that you also have to bring your A+ game to get over it. And unfortunately, I think Croatia showed up with a good package, but it just wasn't good enough to compete with everything else in the one time that everyone gets to vote. That one needed something. That one would have needed, like, okay, you came 10th in the semifinal and then came into the grand final and then elevated, because we've seen it again and we understand it now. That's what it needed, and it can't have that.
Unfortunately, yes. I hate it when you're right. No, I don't. But that is absolutely true. Denmark didn't go for it either. I thought they may squeak in and will be the random, because I do. That one actually, again, this is all anecdotal, right? So this is not like any scientific information, but it had actually a pretty warm response on social media, what I have seen. So I was like, oh, maybe. But then I saw Iceland in and Switzerland, and I'm like, okay, never mind. I knew at that point Denmark will not be taking somebody else's slot, which is, by the way, also interesting. I think every single ballot made it in the semi. Yes, people want ballots. It's ballot. There's not a single ballot that was left behind. So, but for that reason, Denmark and the show was left behind. And yeah, I guess I don't know where it ended up. It was 11th or it's completely flopped. We don't know. But Denmark has the skill to just squeeze through. Like, it had 10th place, I think, with Anna Nielsen in 2017, 10th place in 2019, then 11th place, just missing out in 21. I could see a similar situation again this year. So, but whatever it is, they did not make it. Connor?
Yeah, I guess you could say that Europe just wasn't ready for this song.
Puns!
No, I definitely agree with you. I think, again, this is another song that, like, when you listen to it in the studio, you're like, I like this, and it's one of my guilty pleasures, and I like playing and replaying it multiple times.
Sorry to interrupt. Nobody announced the other running orders yet? Because it's been a while.
No, they are taking pictures. They're doing 5 and 5, so they're bringing the other 5 on stage right now.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
They probably split it up for COVID reasons.
Reasons. Makes sense.
So, yeah, I think that this is just one of those things of, it's a song that if you put it by itself, you really enjoy and you really like. But if you put it up against 17 other songs, is it the song that you vote for? And I think that the answer, unfortunately, is no for this one. Royal's going to be so upset there in the Euro Village.
I'm saying, yeah, he was very confident, but he did say, didn't he say he's going to eat a hot pepper if it won't qualify or something like that? I remember him saying that. Not you, Roy. So
I mean,
want to.
Sure. I remember him saying that too. Let's make that a channel video.
I love that. I thought he said something like that. So we'll hold him to that. And then the last country that did not go through, and it was that thing that we saw it coming. We were hoping it wasn't going to happen. It's a car crash. You see the car approaching the ditch, and you're like, we know it's going to go in there. We're hoping it's not going to, but it's too slippery. It's happening. No, it can, but it did not happen. Austria is out, and oh man, and I was still rooting because she had, I think her best performance was still her jury show yesterday. Today, not as good, and she just seemed so uptight in the beginning. But as soon as the song was over, she was completely loose and happy. I wish I had that same energy throughout the entire song that she did not bring. And I still think it's my EDM 90s dance floor music anthem that I just love. I get it, not everyone loved it, but it's EDM music it's not easy to sing, even with a great singer. It's just a difficult song to perform live. And it just didn't quite work, which is unfortunate. Once again, Austria out the third year in a row. They will be back. They've done it before. But today, a very sad day for Austrians because, the song was quite popular and for the longest time, really high in the betting odds. And then as live performances came in, dropped a little, then rehearsals kicking up. And at the very end, I think it just dropped out of the top 10 the very last minute. And the odds, unfortunately, were right. We all saw it coming on our team. First of all, I was so surprised when I saw none of us. 5 out of 5 said Austria will not qualify, and Team United got that one right. Anything else to add to that, Connor?
Sorry, Jim and Keith were fishing in the bowl, and they knocked 2 out, and they both just pointed at different ones, and they were just staring at it. So they are keeping their slip a secret. They opened it, and then Jim closed it and dropped it. This is a whole production right now. I will give my thoughts on Austria.
Okay.
They are also in the first half.
Oh dear. That's not an opener, though.
The second
finally an upbeat song though. Actually, that's maybe good for Norway.
Semi 2.
Yeah, semi 2. But that's good for Norway. I mean, there've been a lot of ballads already in the first half, right? So they're going to be like, look at us. Anyway, go ahead with Austria.
So with Austria, you said it correctly. I did not place it in my qualifier ranks because, I mean, we made them after the first dress rehearsal. So I didn't know how she was going to do in that jury show. And I think that she did okay in the overall jury show. I won't lie to you. She didn't do as well as she needed to, clearly.
No, but still was one of better performances.
Yeah, but it was one of her better performances. And I think that what we saw on the live show tonight is reminiscent of what we'd seen from the rehearsals. Of again, and I've said it before, of that backing track kind of pulling Pia along vocally and her just kind of running after the bus. Very much like if you remember how Leslie Roy kind of had to kind of keep up vocally while on the treadmill. It sounded like Pia was singing while she was on the treadmill. And so I think that she lost out on jury points. And then I think the disappointment from Eurovision fans also caused her to lose out on televotes. And so I would not be shocked, although I hate to say this, I would not be shocked to see this in the bottom 3 because almost everyone else in this semifinal, including Bulgaria and Croatia, the other 2 songs that I said I wouldn't be shocked to see in the bottom 3, performed so vocally solid. And unfortunately, she was kind of the oddball out in the semifinal vocally. Still a great song. Still love it. Pia and Lumix are great. Just not the performance that they needed to make it to the grand final.
Yes.
But Amanda is currently on. She's in the bubble or in the bowl.
The bowl? Well, how's she in the bubble?
She's in the bubble.
Let's get, I mean, she
in the second half.
Oh, oh gosh, I want to be in Greece right now. I think everyone scream right now in Greece right now out of excitement, and this is probably gonna, it doesn't matter if she's gonna be 14th or 25th because I think that song will stand out regardless. It's just that kind of performance, so striking. But I think it's just going to be a really good night for Greece on Saturday. I don't want to jinx it, so I'll take it back. Yeah, I don't know yet how Greece is going to be.
If you want us to interview Amanda, please let me know.
Yes, that would be great. We would love to interview her.
I felt so bad because I literally messaged her during the jury show and I was like, not gonna, and by her, I mean the head of press. I messaged her and I was like, y'all have me literally crying in my office and someone came in and said, are you okay? And I want you to know I'm not okay.
I'm not okay.
She didn't answer, but I was like, oh, this is hysterical.
Oh, that's funny. So we'll be here at least until all halves are known, or all countries have drawn their halves. So now that we talked through it all, we're going to answer your questions at ESC United. Anything related to ESC United, to Eurovision, the second semi, or anything, and we'll do our answers. And while they're coming in,
your friend from OGA Ukraine is currently in the press conference answering her question or asking her question.
Oh, she's wonderful. We really clicked. We bonded.
If you see her again, get me a pin because I really, really want one. If they have any left over.
I have. You can have mine.
No.
I may be wearing. Huh?
Ask her if she has another.
They ran out of them, I think.
Oh, okay.
I saw they were low. Yeah, but you can have mine. But yeah, any questions again in the chat at ESC United. How did you like the other performances, like the interval acts and all of that stuff? Did you enjoy them? The whole show flow?
You know, I will say I really feel like the first interval, so the Dardas, Sophie and the Giants, and Benny Bengrossi. Yeah, that's his name. I really feel like that would have maybe worked better as the opener than the first interval. Because I feel like it was way more hype. Actually, I would say as well, if it wasn't there, I would say that that should have been the opener for the grand final, because that would have been a great performance for the flag parade, a longer version of it. Obviously, I love Diodato, so great, awesome. Not what we would have seen at Eurovision, but at least gives me a spectacle and be like, Diodato is at Eurovision.
I know. We can all just feel like it's like close that chapter and, if you can move on with our lives a little.
Right. And then, I mean, honestly, was there anything else? Because my brain doesn't remember anything after those two. And I don't know if that is a bad thing, if I'm forgetting someone. But I feel like that was it.
That was it?
Right?
Yeah. I think so. Well, we had the opening number, of course, and then we had the two top five, big five perform. Not perform, but the snippet. Then, they had this clip about, let me think, the Eurovision history, like those few songs that they're showing, but no one performed really. So those are the biggest things I think that happened. Yes.
Ukraine is in the first half.
Ukraine is in the first half?
Ukraine is in the first half.
Okay.
He did not look very happy about that.
Well, they may get a good running order.
Oof.
I could see a 10-13 maybe.
Perhaps, I mean, I feel like, yes, again, I think that they won the semifinal next to Georgia. So yeah,
next to Georgia?
That first, no, sorry, not Georgia. Greece. One of those G's,
We're
Georgia,
Americans,
Germany,
okay?
Greece.
We don't need Greece. One of these countries.
Genovia, someone. No, but literally, at this rate, we literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the first half countries already decided.
So we have like 3 left, right?
There are 4 more slots in the first half, and everyone.
What's considered the first half? Is it? Sorry, Connor. Is the first half considered now 1 to 12 or 13 to 25? Or I don't know how they're going to be because it's an uneven number.
I don't know. I mean, it depends, I suppose. Yeah, it could be somewhere between 3 to 4. But since Italy is already selected 9th, they're also in the first half.
Yeah, that's true.
So I bet you every single person in the second semifinal is rejoicing right now because they're, depending upon the draws tonight, it's most likely, I would say, about a 70% chance that if you're in the second semifinal and you qualify, you have an opportunity to be one of the last 5 songs performing tonight.
Moldova and Netherlands have still drawing, so they're also probably a little bit more confident now. I think their odds have increased significantly. So
and they really need to be in the second half. Otherwise, Moldova, I think, could be fine.
Could be a closer. Moldova could be a closer if they come second half.
The Netherlands in the first half, I love her to death, but she's going to get swallowed with with
All these
Armenia
ballots,
being there,
yeah.
Portugal with Switzerland. Like, she needs a second half draw.
Yeah. Wow. So fascinating. Duncan Lawrence, running order vibes from Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, they will put the favorites at least 9 to 13. So I don't see Ukraine getting anything lower than that in the running order. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. There's just no way. Now watch them getting third or something like that. But you know what I mean? It's certainly not going to open or anything.
I really think that I think Armenia, now originally I said I think Armenia is going to close out the half. I think Armenia is probably going to come 6th or 7th, wherever they put that ad break. So if they put the ad break after 6th, then she'll come 7th, just because it takes a while to get that whole thing off the stage. And I think Ukraine is probably going to close the half out right before the midpoint break. Just because they have a tendency to like to put some of the favorites and the higher voters
at the end. Yes.
At the end of the half.
So you really don't think that they're going to make Armenia what they often traditionally do, is put the last song of the night, making it the opener in the grand final? You don't think Armenia could be that lucky one?
I mean, they could be, but I don't see them doing that.
Really? I could see, because it has a big staging that can just, because the first one you can bring up all the equipment right there, right now, and just get out of the way.
I guess that's a point, because they did that with Malta. Malta had the most difficult setup for 2019, so they put her first. So I guess it could come. I would hope it's not the only reason. That's like the only reason they come in and put it first. But
Moldova hasn't drawn yet, right?
No, I think it really comes down to who they put after her, or where they put everyone else. Because if they put Portugal right after her, they don't give two shits about how hard it's going to get that off, because Portugal is just already going to be standing on the B stage ready to go while they wheel it.
That would be perfect, actually. I'm not saying perfect like for the fans, but in terms of,
actually, they think about Switzerland second, but.
Yeah, I don't see Portugal going second. I don't see it either. Yeah. I'm just saying, for them, it would make perfect sense. Like, get them out of the way over there. But there will be other performances probably with bigger. I'm tough to think about. We don't know what the other second half is going to look like. So we'll wait and see.
Doing a pep up right now as they approach they move around in the bowl, and the Advahov brothers are with them. Second half for Moldova.
All right, I'm so happy about that.
I still don't think that they're going to do I don't think they're going to close the semifinal, but I think that they're going to be at a really good point.
I could see that. I could absolutely see that. Because it's not going to win Eurovision, but it could have that party. They often do like a party anthem at the end, like La Venda or something like that, So it could be.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly could see if of our second half people right now, probably between them and UK right now.
UK could be a closer as well, but I think UK screams like 23rd or 24th to me. But we'll see. We don't know yet exactly who's going to end up, and then have to look at other things. We'll see. There was another point that somebody made, and I keep scrolling. Stop talking, people. I can't keep up. I'm kidding. Keep talking in the chat. I don't want to discourage chat talk. But EBU definitely doesn't want Ukraine to win, so they can put Ukraine in second. Well, we don't. I mean, I do not want to put words in anyone's mouth with the EBU, but I do not.
I strongly disagree with that point. The EBU are not tone deaf to what's going on, and they would not do that.
They want to get the most entertainment out of it, meaning the most profit, all of that stuff, right? And Ukraine brings that, and I don't want to make it like light of like, the sad story makes us money, but it is an entertainment show, and Ukraine's performance is entertainment. People vote for it, people are interested in it, so they do what they need to keep people excited and interested, so they don't want to completely jeopardize that either.
Yeah. Now, if Ukraine wasn't a very strong qualifier, if Ukraine came, like 9th or 10th, then I could see an argument that maybe they end up in that second slot in the running order. And again, I think they'd have to have a very different entry to also kind of legitimize that second slot. But no, the EBU is not that. They would be real dumb, and they would make a real big controversy this year if they did that, and they're not going to do that. Yeah. No.
Because there's
Especially
one
the
thing.
betting odds.
Perception is reality, and the perception that would leave, unfortunately, also will probably really awkward. Whether it's fair or not, we can argue about that until the cows come home, but it is reality. So yeah, I agree with Connor on this one. We agree a lot, Connor. This is getting really boring.
Sorry, I'll be more contentious.
Yes. Yeah, just be very contentious. I like that idea.
I want Moldova kicked out. Disqualification. Kidding.
There would be too much of a backlash from the fans if they put Ukraine second. Yeah, we said that already. I completely agree, Nicole. Did the rehearsals have that many cameramen appear on stage? I've gotten so used to them. We had a lot of cameramen pop up here and there. Did you notice a lot of them as well, Connor? I was not paying close attention, to be honest, because I was doing stuff and I've seen the the performances so many times.
Yeah, and we've seen them in the rehearsals as well. And I'm going to be watching this way because Eston is also drawing her slip right now. But yeah, we've seen a lot of them, and I think the issue is that stage is so wide that it takes a really long time for them to get across the stage. First half. That's not good for Netherlands right now.
The first half?
First half.
For Netherlands?
For the Netherlands.
Oh, no. And how many have we left? 3 left now for the first half?
2 to 3.
2 to 3.
Anyway, as I was saying, so...
Can I just say one thing real quick? Hold your thought. Because there was always this thing while the EBU or the in charge evenly divide them in the bowl to make sure, there's evenly divided semis. Clearly, that's not the case here. They just is the luck of the draw or the unluck of the draw.
They literally have like 3 or 4 slips in the bowl left, and they are probably all second half.
Yep, probably.
So
technically, everyone could have pulled first half. Yeah.
Literally 4 people out of 10 pulled second half, and there are probably 4 more in there. So that means that it's way more first half heavy. Conspiracy theories. Anyway, back to the stage. So I think the issue is that unlike some of the other stages that we've seen, like in Tel Aviv and in Rotterdam, where the stage access points aren't so far out on the wings, I think that's the issue, is that the cameramen, the Steadicam operators, are literally sprinting across the stage. And then they go from a Steadicam shot to a wide shot. And so you just see them running off stage because there's just so much distance for them to travel. And I think it's just a stage design error. I think that if they had just created the stage as a little bit more narrow on the edges, or maybe just curved around instead of so kind of, cut out, I think that they'd have less of those issues. But again, those cameramen can only run so fast with like 90 pounds worth of equipment on their bodies. So I can't blame them. And I'm sure they'll figure it out and they'll rework some camera angles that didn't work today or tomorrow. But there were a couple of them that I saw where I was just kind of like, you don't belong there.
Yeah, no. Real quick, actually, just to make sure who's in the first half. Look, so Italy, number 9, ballad, obviously. Armenia, mid-tempo kind of song. Then France, well, that is certainly a little more upbeat. They're happy to all right, ballads. Germany, slow ballady song. So that one we knew already. Netherlands, we know now, another ballad. Subwoofer, also upbeat, so they're happy. Portugal, slow song. Spain, party. And then Switzerland, slow, and Kalush Orchestra, not slow. So there are a few more upbeat songs in the first half, but still, I could say a pretty large number of ballads. Now, we don't know who will follow from the second semi into that. If something like Sweden also falls into the first half, or Poland, oh Lord, have mercy.
Yeah, I really think it's if Sweden, Poland, and Australia qualify to the grand final, they need to not be first half. Otherwise, it's going to be a very claustrophobic first half of the running order, and I don't know if the producers are going to know what they're doing. They're going to be like, well, we like to make a flow, but pop, slow, 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 pop, slow, 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 slow. Ukraine.
Yeah.
Second
I had
half.
a feeling we're going to get the running order for the grand final a little later than usual. Or it's going to be super fast. I just put it out. Doesn't matter anymore. Could go either way.
Yeah, it's true. Christer Björkman is no longer in charge of the running order, so they may be less
True.
What's what I'm looking for? Less stringent or strategic, I guess, on how they place things.
Yeah, that is true. All right, so that was like. Give us another round of questions at ES United in the chat if you want to. We would love to hear them so we can answer. Is there anything else that you can think about the show that you feel like needs to be pointed out? I do think it was, in terms of the flow, no technical difficulties really. It all looked good. So I think the reviews will be fairly good. The hosts did their job right. They weren't just too distracting to me, because sometimes, they're just like, look at me, forget about the acts. I feel as they were not trying to outshine them. How do you feel?
I mean, I think it's hysterical that Laura decided that the semifinal required 3 dress changes on the first night.
Wait for the grand final.
Yeah, I was like, hey, she kept the same shade color, and so it matched her. She didn't have to change her eyeshadow or anything like that, so that was smart. But I was like, girl, it's the first night. Like, we're doing a lot right now. I think the only thing that I'll add into this is that I think Eurovision fans finally figured out what we've been talking about all along, which is that people have been making this massive deal over the LED suns not rotating. And honestly, watching the entire semifinal back, never really noticed, never really cared. It did not impact negatively the overall experience. I think everything looked great in HD definition on the stream. I think, honestly, people have just been blowing it out of proportion on how it was going to affect Eurovision. Mm-hmm. And I hope that when we go to social media, people are going to start realizing, like, maybe I was a little too vocal or harsh on those words I used. It's really not that bad.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said. I will only add one caveat to that one, and that is a lot of the acts had to change their staging, especially the backdrops a little. So they adjusted it. If they would have kept it the way it is, it would have looked for some of the performances a little different. I know that Lithuania was very upset initially, and I'm like, girl, you're with the 70s glittery light in the back, and you didn't even need any backdrop. This is perfect. So for her, I personally think it probably worked out in her favor.
Right.
But other than that, I completely agree with what you're saying. So it'll be fine. So I'm glad it worked out that way. So let's take a look at a few other questions. Where in the running order would best suit the UK now that the first half is almost all booked in? That's still hard for me to figure out, because we still have 10 songs and most of them will be in the second half. So we need to know who it'll be and what kind of songs they are.
Most of them will probably be upbeat in some way, shape, or form. I think that's also an issue for the UK right now, is that they're now competing with a lot of similar-esque songs, similar pop songs. I mean, because you've literally got, you've got Israel, Serbia, Georgia, Malta, Ireland, Romania. I would say those are probably the draws. Czech Republic kind of in there, but it's more EDM than it is pop. So it's like on that fine line. But yeah, I think UK is at this weird spot where I don't know where they would be put in the running order, because I don't think it matters. At this point, there's going to be so many... At the back half of this grand final is going to be so stacked on bangers.
Yes.
That it doesn't matter at this point. It's just a matter of who do they follow? Okay. Do they follow a fan favorite? Like, for example, do they follow Azerbaijan? Or do they follow, like, Ireland or Greece? I think that's what matters more for them. Less of what number do they come in that slot.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And one question from Twitch, because we are also on Twitch, Acousticals is asking, who got the biggest reaction in the press room? There were lots of applauses. This has been a very kind press here, but certainly I tweeted about it. Moldova went insane in here. Everyone was on their feet, or at least clapping along. It's just so infectious, such a happy feeling. And this, I just know it's going to go big with the televote. And now that they got second half, it's probably going to do really well. I see Moldova easily in the top 10 now on the finals. But I think that one got a big reaction. But also obviously Ukraine and Greece was really big. Those certainly come to mind. I think those were the ones that probably got the biggest response in my estimation.
Those are definitely the ones I remember, at least from the streams and everything like that, hearing from your side that had a really great. I would say Greece as well probably had a pretty big reaction. I think that it's one of the press favorites right now. So yeah, I would agree pretty much with everything that you said.
Yeah. Ryan is asking, do you agree? Go ahead, sorry.
Spain. Someone said Spain as well. That also is a good point, but we're talking semifinal 1. So
yeah, I was just thinking about tonight.
Shelve that for Saturday.
I'm sure there will be a big applause. Don't you worry. Do you agree that Germany is the real winner tonight? Why? Do you get that?
Because they're in the first half.
But why are they the winner? They got all the other ballots, so it's kind of hurt them more than anything, I would think.
I would disagree. I don't think that Germany is a winner in this scenario. I think if Germany was in the second half, they'd be a winner because of the fact that you have a bunch of songs that are somewhat similar in tempo at the very beginning and a bunch of songs that are the antithesis of yours in the second half where you are. And so you get to switch up the pace. And I think that makes it for a more impactful presentation than if you are Germany and you, hypothetically, let's say you come right after Switzerland and then right after you is Spain. Yeah. That does nothing for you. You're in the middle of a sandwich. It's not going to help you stand out. So I think that they would have been a winner if in the Saturday press conferences they'd actually drawn second half at this point, not them being in the first half.
Yep. It's the beauty of Eurovision. We can only do your best guesses and estimate here, and everything could completely be upside down in the end. But
I love it.
Yes, I love it, and that's why we love it. Let's see here. Greece, Portugal, Lithuania, and Iceland all through. Almost all second half in the final 2. Best SF ever. I mean, it was certainly. Are you surprised though, Connor, that we had every single ballad in this semi go through? Like not all the upbeat songs, but anything that was left was at a bare minimum mid-tempo, like Croatia or upbeat. Everything else was basically upbeat.
Well, I mean, I think it's just a matter of less of tempo. I think it's more of the package. And I will say, I mean, if you think about a lot of the presentations that did advance through to the grand final, a lot of these are more simplistic stages that didn't use a lot of elements from the get-go. So I think that, I think that helped them as well. From a visual and performance standpoint, whereas like Ready and Croatia and Citi Zēni and Albania did have to kind of really regroup. I know Lithuania had to regroup too, but it didn't really seem like it. And Armenia as well didn't really seem like they had to regroup, but I know that they did as well. So I think that's an important point to make, is that I think it's less about so many slow songs came through, and I think these are the delegations that adapted to the change the best.
Yeah,
they came up with a new way to do what they wanted to do in a way that would fit the stage, and so I think they fit the new brief, the best. Whereas some of the other delegations tried to make what was going to work in the original plan work on the stage without the sun. And I think especially when you look at Denmark, when you look at Croatia, when you look at Slovenia, Latvia, and Albania, these are delegations that really it stood out that this was a thing that was not the way it was supposed to be. So I'll stop there.
That's okay. Somebody, and forgive me, I cannot answer all the questions. I'll do the best I can. But someone mentioned half the betting odds changed right now. I'm going on there right now. So Ukraine now odds are, I mean, things will change. It's still a little early, right? Because it takes a while for this to be updated. And we had to remove 7 songs. So, of course, there will be a good amount of movement. But Ukraine, very green. Very, very green. Now 49% chances. Italy actually now up into a clear second place with 14%. For a while, UK was there. They're now... still a great third place with 9%. So nothing to be ashamed of. And Sweden now at 8%. Spain dropped a little to 3%. Let me see here. I think Greece has a shot of overtaking Spain by tomorrow morning, I think, if things will continue that way. Norway made up some ground as well. Not necessarily in a position, I think, but certainly like the numbers are shortening if I'm looking at this correctly. And other than that,
yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of movement in the past couple of days as well. So their semifinal one, a lot of songs obviously dropped out that were in the running for the betting odds. But then also I think there's been a lot of volatile movement in the past couple of days. I mean, Italy was in second place, then it wasn't in second place, and then the UK was up there, and then Spain was in second place, and then it's just been kind of, it's who's voting where and when and how much, and it's chaos. So this is why there's a person that I really want to bring in who loves betting odds, and I know exactly he's going to be great for us because he can talk all things betting odds.
I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's always take with a grain of salt because betting odds are not, it's just what people put money down on, and the ranking is not about who's going to come 8th. So just because Poland is 8th currently right now in the betting odds does not mean, okay, they will come 8th overall. It's really just truly people putting money on who they think is going to win. Like, for instance, there's a song, let's say, the Netherlands. I don't think the Netherlands is going to win this year, but that doesn't mean they could come second. You know what I mean? Like, I may think they come second, but since I don't think they're going to win, I'm not going to put money down. It would be kind of dumb because I know they're not going to make it. So certainly that is a very complex thing. The odds. People often misunderstand that as well. Don't look at Eurovision World odds. They are not updated. Things have changed. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Things will update. And that's the only one of the few, at least, that have multiple betting odd websites. If I only go to, what's the big one that people look at that I just forgot the name of? Odds Checker, right? Is that what it's called? Yeah, that's another one you could look at, of course. That's like live, but that's just one. I usually like to look at more than one, just because it gives you more insight into where these things are happening. Because the Odds Checker is also a British one, so there tends to be a natural bias there, which makes sense.
Go UK, go UK.
Go UK. Who do you think can open the show from the countries that are in the first half right now? We just talked about that a minute. We had some thoughts. I still think Armenia could be a decent opener because I don't think anyone has Armenia as a major favorite to win. And it would be a safe first song rather than putting some of the big hitters. France could be an option, but I do think France is too, I don't know if exotic is the right word, but certainly too out there, I think, to be like the opening song, maybe too jarring to like immediately jump right into that one. The only other one I can say for Norway, they're not going to open it with the Wolves. It's just too much going right into it. And Spain is too popular. And Ukraine is Ukraine. Yeah. So as of right now, I think the only one I still see is Armenia. And it's possible, at this point, I'm thinking it will be either Armenia or someone from the second semifinal, I mean.
And I mean, I could see a case for France going second because they do also have a slightly complicated staging with the platforms and stuff like that. So that does take a little bit of setup time. But I'm with you. I think it's between the two of them. I could see France going in first because of the fact that it sets a really good tone for the opening of the semifinal. The grand final. I can see Armenia going first because of the complexities rather of the staging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. First half for the Netherlands kind of destroys chance to get into the top 5, I guess. Never say never. That's always my thing. I do agree that it was not the most ideal draw for them, not just because it's the first half, but just because we have so many ballots already in that half. So, we don't have many songs left from the first semi, but we most likely will have Azerbaijan, Australia, Sweden, and Poland, 4 other big ballots that will, in my opinion, at least qualify probably, and at least 1 or 2 may end up on top of it. I not all of them, but there will be at least 1 or 2 more coming in. And I think that is probably going to make another difference preference because we have man, I really don't want to be a producer right now, like picking in orders.
Same. Christopher Berkman's at home like, wow, it was a good time to leave.
I know, I quit at the right time. I'll retire again. Is there a chance for San Marino to make it now that we know Albania is out? I don't think those two are connected or have an impact. The only thing, let me see here. I don't top of my head. Oh, we haven't done. What am I talking about? We haven't done predictions yet for the semi two. We'll do that soon. Where's your gut telling you right now? We haven't looked at the rest rehearsals yet. That'll change. But as of right now, if I had to make you guess, Connor, do you think San Marino's in or out?
Well, I think that for San Marino is currently sweating because both of the other rock songs in Bulgaria and Denmark both non-qualified. So,
or they could be celebrating, depending on how you look at it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're in the grand final, like if everyone was in the grand, or we knew that they were in the grand final, and then they were in the second semifinal and they didn't qualify, yeah, I would be celebrating. But I think because they're second, I would be like, ooh, are they going to think that this is not? So I don't know. San Marino is my wild card right now. It's one of those things where I don't think the juries are going to go for it. I think it's going to be a little too out there for the juries, but I think the televotes are going to spam vote for this.
Yes.
I mean, they love San Marino in general, and they love when things go real weird. Case in point, Norway. So I think that San Marino's chance is based off of how many of the jury members actually vote for San Marino.
Mm-hmm.
It's either going to squeak in or it is going to probably pull up Croatia and be on the bubble.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that either. Darn it. Say something I don't like.
Sorry.
That's all right. I'm just kidding. What do you think is the best spot for Sweden? Right now, second half. Any spot in the second half. That is what Sweden's best spot is.
24th.
24, yeah. I don't know if they're going to give them the 24th because they gave them already. I think if they were to get the second half, I see them more as a 17th kind of song at this point because they gave them already a really favorable running order. And it doesn't matter in the end as much in the second half. So that's why I don't think it's going to be as dramatic for them. So Sweden needs to hope for a second half. That is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I would be more worried for Finland than San Marino. I think performing first is going to go against them. Do you think this could potentially hurt Finland going first?
I mean, I don't know.
They can set the tone.
I talked to Lori yesterday for an interview, and
check it out, by the way, on ESC United.
Yeah. One of the things I forget if we talked about it because we had a really short time together, but they did go first in UMK, and they won.
Oh, that's right.
Landslide.
Now, granted, we only had 6 songs, but yeah.
Yeah, and he talked about it on the turquoise carpet that he said that he feels like it's kind of like a good luck draw. That they did really well in the first slot in UMK, and so maybe they can do really well in the first slot for Eurovision. I think of the two, personal opinion, the two that I think I would want to pass through, I think I'd rather put Stripper from San Marino through, just because I think that he does a better job delivering the package. And I think, yes, it's chaos, and it's a lot, but it works. Finland doesn't always work vocally, in the staging I'm still not 100 after even talking to Lori about it. I feel like I'm about 90% understanding it. There's still a 10% that I'm like, but why?
Yeah.
He also did confirm that my reference of it at the beginning of this performance is correct, by the way.
What do you mean?
At the very opening when he's standing on stage with a balloon. Because he went, yeah, it's very...
Oh.
Okay, I got it. I understand where we're going now.
Okay, gotcha. Thoughts if Sweden picks first half? J Rocket is asking. Listen, Sweden is an incredibly strong song, very popular, and I don't think anything can stop Sweden from a great result on Saturday, regardless of I know Connor's a little on the fence here, but it is probably I'm saying they're going to be ignored, but maybe it will hurt the chances to win. if they get first half, but I still think they're going to be easily pretty high up in the ranking. What do you think, Connor?
I was going to say pending no technical difficulties during the grand final.
Forgot about that.
Because that really shook her up in the second rehearsals. She got it and she made it through, but a lot of people noticed that she just did not seem very on it. So I think I think that she would be, not necessarily that she would be shaken, but I think I agree with her. Her chances of winning may go down because she's then sharing the half with another high favorite to win, which is Ukraine. But then at the same time, I think when you think about, well, actually, let me walk that comment back. She'd be sharing that with a high favorite to win of Italy and Ukraine and Spain, all in the top 5 of the betting odds. If she ends up in the second half, she is only sharing it with the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes her more favorable to stand out when it comes to the people who are making the bets. And I think also the general Eurovision watchers and fans, because again, Italy, Spain, and Ukraine are all big fan favorites. So if you add another fourth one in there, it gets a little clustered in the pack.
Yeah. Man, you make good points today, Connor. So I know we've been here for a long time, so we're going to move on for the night. But just remember, y'all, we'll be back tomorrow afternoon. And we'll have the first dress rehearsal of Semi 2. So we're going to do the whole shenanigans again. And then in the evening, we have the jury show. Are you still there, Connor? Or am I gone? I hope it's you and not me. We'll see. It's me. I'm still here. I think I lost him. I was like, he's not moving. So we'll be here tomorrow afternoon. It starts at 3, the first dress rehearsal, where we get the whole run through. And in the evening at 9 p.m., we will have the jury show where 50% of the votes disappear. Will be counted. What am I talking about? I was still reading the chat with Connor. Oh, he's back. Hey, Connor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know what happened.
That's not a problem because I was just about to say goodbye anyway to everyone. And I'm just saying that tomorrow we'll have the dress rehearsal in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, and then at 9 o'clock we'll have the jury show where, again, the juries will vote. Very, very, very important. Big thank you to our mods as well in the chat. Again, you've done a tremendous job. I couldn't do it without you. So have a good night, and we're going to do all of this shenanigans again tomorrow. We'll put up the links in a little bit. We'll go home first because I need to get out of this press center. I've been hitting you all day. And have a good night, everyone.